part 2 of accepting yourself as an introvert. Hope this is making some kind of sense. I'll be honest, I am just kind of talking and seeing what falls out of my mouth. So previously I was just talking about shyness and how I think sometimes that gets very mixed up with the whole concept of being an introvert and being an introvert, and also the need for recharging your batteries and your energy, for finding somewhere to seclude yourself and to kind of reconnect with yourself. Now I want to talk about this whole concept of talking to people, or feeling the need to be quiet and not always wanting to verbalize everything. The other day at work, for whatever reason, I just had it like an entire day where I really honestly just didn't feel like talking to anybody. I just wanted to be quiet, and I was just quite happily being quiet within myself, and I just didn't feel any need to talk. And at some point someone said to me, "Tom, are you okay? You're very quiet today." And that comment is actually what started me thinking about all of this, and has spurred me on to make these videos, because I realized that so often in the past, actually, when people had said things like that to me, "Oh, you're so quiet," or "Why is Tom so shy?" or why are you not talking, you know, or "Why are you not engaging?" or whatever. So often before I've come to this place of making more peace with myself as an introvert, that would cause me so much inner conflict and turmoil, because then I'd start thinking, "Oh God, yeah, no, why aren't I talking to people? I need to think of something to say. Otherwise I'm making this situation awkward. I must be making them feel awkward." And when I start to think like that, I start to make myself feel awkward. And suddenly that's what would make social situations seem very taxing, and seem like situations that maybe I felt safer in avoiding. So this reminded me of the importance of acknowledging to people that just because you're being quiet, it doesn't mean that you have any ill feelings towards people. It doesn't mean you're judging them. It doesn't mean that you're intentionally wanting to isolate yourself from the group, or that you want nothing to do with somebody, you know. It just means that you are just being quiet. And I think there's such an importance in owning that. And if you are an introvert and you find yourself in situations a lot, maybe around other people, where you are being quiet, or maybe there's just a day where you just really don't want to talk. You know, I'm not a silent mute all the time. I'm quite comfortable and quite enjoy talking to people, you know. Small talk, whatever, I can do it. It's not necessarily my favorite type of, and I'll get onto that later, but there are times when sometimes I just feel like having to constantly pull up some energy inside of myself, and to constantly kind of think of something to say for the sake of talking, or to keep a conversation going, or to avoid awkward silences with people. I find that so draining some days, and like it really takes so much energy. Where if I can just, and this is something I'm having to learn to do, if I can just stand my ground and say, "Oh, you know, there's no worries, there's no problems, I'm absolutely fine, I'm just enjoying just being quiet. That's okay." You know, if you just allow people to know that, then that will then make them at ease. Because let's be honest, you know, if you are in a situation and you're in a small group, or maybe you're one-on-one with someone, and they're not talking to you, and they're not maybe looking like they're showing any interest in you, you can start to think, "Oh God, this person must be judging me. This person doesn't like me." And that puts people, you know, on their guard, and they will automatically assume a point of defense by maybe even then rejecting you. And I think this is what causes so much pain and suffering and confusion to introverts as they're growing up, and they're going through all of the peer groups of school and friendships and all of that, you know, of not being able to maybe have the awareness or the education or the teaching to understand how to navigate these situations that we all face in our everyday lives. So it's just acknowledging it in yourself and not beating yourself up about it. That's the most important thing. Because if you can feel at peace with the fact that some days you just really want to be quiet, and yeah, maybe you are in your own head, maybe you are off in dreamland, maybe you're walking amongst the clouds, maybe you're imagining something, maybe you're trying to dissect something in your mind, and you're going deep within that, and having surface conversations about whatever is just completely off your radar, and you would rather not do that. The most important thing is to be comfortable with that, make peace with that, because the more you can do that, the more that you will offer a sense of grounded presence, energy, calming persona, serenity, whatever you want to call it. And that in itself will make others more comfortable around you, rather than perceiving you as being some kind of cold, distant, judgmental, serious, intense person who is just like, oh, I'm just grumpy, so I'm being quiet. The second thing, if you realise that there is someone around, or maybe someone's trying to make conversation with you, just say, be honest, to say, oh yeah, no, acknowledge them, acknowledge they're there, and let them know that you're just having a bit of a quiet moment. And again, that will help release tension, that will help release that feeling of maybe social awkwardness, and it will kind of deflate any kind of misinterpretation that could arise within the minds of yourself or other people who are around you. And it will just allow them to know, oh, this person's cool with being quiet, that's fine, I can be cool with that. And sometimes maybe you'll find yourself in a position where people just aren't cool with that. And that's when you have to take the responsibility to remove yourself from the situation and to find other people who are, or take yourself somewhere where you don't need to feel like you need to perform or change yourself just to try and fit in with other people who don't want to accept you anyway. Again, that is a huge life lesson that takes some time to learn, but it's so important.